I read that things were so bad for you, Michael, at one point.
Yes.
You were considering becoming a journalist.
So terrible.
Oh my
Could you
goodness.
imagine how low you have to go
I can't.
to want to be a journalist?
Oh.
For me, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know what
That
you
is-
mean. So thank you very much for inviting us in here. This
Thank you
is
for coming.
Awesome.
Well, it's funny. They had asked, like when the producers are talking about, they want to go somewhere that, and I was like, well, I've done these theaters or the nightclubs that I used to play at. Most of them are gone. And I was like, what about the history? No one's ever sat at this. Like we haven't. Never in my career have we ever talked about this piano that I can't play. But somehow, even though I can't play, I have written big hits on it.
Yeah, including Home.
Yeah, Home. We did Haven't Met You Yet, Everything. Man, I remember, I don't know why you think that you killed me. Anyway, that was that. Me doing exactly that.
Yeah, well, so tell me
Because
a
I
little.
didn't know how to play it in the other key. So that was what worked for me.
I should point out the labels there must be for one of your kids, right?
Yes. They're not for me.
Okay,
So I can.
In case somebody
They're
looks at
totally,
it.
yeah, my kids. So now my kids.
Yeah.
We've started this interview, haven't
If
we?
that's okay.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Well, we just naturally got into that.
Yeah. So, but tell, like, I just.
So I will tell you.
Yeah.
I've no joke. I mean, this sounds cheesy, but I have laughed over this piano. I have celebrated over this piano. I've cried my head off. I wrote a song called Forever Now. I love you forever now on this piano, thinking about my kids, and I've been absolutely shit-faced writing It's a Beautiful Day. So this piano has been, it's weird because it's been a massive part of my life, my history, my discography. And now what's really cool is this is the first time I've ever done this and talked about it like this, but that my babies have lessons from Leon Feldman, every Tuesday and Thursday, and say, we hate it, we don't want to do the lessons, but then sit for hours and hours to show me how amazing their rendition of Spider-Man is. It's one of those really full circle, really cool, it's such a cool thing, so much history in this little piano.
Pick a song. I mean, Home to me is the one I'd like to hear about, but pick a song and explain to me the writing process that involved this piano.
So, okay, well, to be as open and transparent as I can possibly be, I will tell you that I could be literally the worst piano player in the world.
Fantastic.
And so I would just really sit and for hours and hours, I would have to feel something, and I would have to find these chords that I would know meant something to me, and man, so depending on what I felt, like, I just met you, didn't recognize your face, oh, la 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 la. I mean, literally like that, plunking out notes and chords, and them telling me where to go lyrically, and then knowing lyrically when I began what the song was. And then what would happen is I would get that, and I would then have, I'd know what the song was about conceptually. Here's what it's about. Here's the melody. Here are the changes. And then I would go to my co-writer, Alan Chang, and I would go, here's what it is. And in 3 seconds, he would take all of that and expound upon it, make it 50 times better. And he'd go, man, that chord change there, it's good. But what if we did this? And I'd go, oh, my mind would explode. And then I'd go lyrically to David Foster's daughter, Amy, who in her own right is a superstar. And I'd go, Amy, I've written Another Summer Day Has Come and Gone Away, in Paris, Rome, I want to go home. Maybe surrounded by a million people, I want to go home. And then I'd go, and she would sit down with me and she would say, and I'm keeping all the letters that I wrote to you. And I would say, I don't like that. No one writes letters. And she'd say, yeah, but idiot. But they know what it means. And it's something that is so visceral that when we hear those words, we will have such a strong picture, a mental picture in our heads, that we will help connect the dots to allowing this song to be whatever it needs to be for the listener. So that's literally what happens. It's funny how I don't know where it comes from. Usually it comes from deep pain or the emotion, the tonality is usually from a deep, deep place of either inspiration, the inspiration of love, or sometimes just suffering, you know?
Another summer day has come and gone away from Paris or Rome, but I wanna go home.
For people who don't know
Yeah.
your music, don't know your story,
Yeah.
how does a kid in Burnaby in the 90s embrace Sinatra?
Well, partly because I had a grandfather who I was really close to, who just loved music, loved that music. You know, this was his. It's funny, you know, a plumber, never sang in his life, but just had a deep reverence for Dean Martin, Bobby Darin, Ella Fitzgerald, the Ink Spots, the Mills Brothers. And then you mix that with a kid who loved it. I genuinely thought it was the greatest. I didn't understand how other kids my age weren't. How could they not love it too? And then add the fact that I felt like it made me unique. And I think all of us want to be unique. All of us want to be special. All of us want to have that different thing, that different hairdo, you know, stylistically listen to a different music or like that movie that no one else likes, because that's us. That's why, you know, I'm different from you, and that's what makes me unique. And so I think a big part of that was like, wow, this really imprinted on me. And I listened, ached, studied, lived. I fantasized about it. I would manifest it, and I still to this day manifest things. I have a really rich imagination, and I would sit, whether it was working on my dad's fishing boat or in my car, in my Pontiac LE 6000, you know, with my cassette that Grandpa had made, I would constantly just visualize and try to make this happen.
I've interviewed a lot of people, and a number of them will talk about the impact their parents had. You're the only person I've ever spoken to who speaks about their grandfather in the way you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like it was an incredible relationship.
Well, just, you know what? Sometimes God puts people on the planet that are just simpatico. That was my soulmate. And it's interesting because now that soulmate was reborn in my kids, you know. But I was 17 when I started working. My grandpa started getting me gigs, you know. Grandpa said, you know, he's a plumber. I'll do free plumbing if you let my grandson get up in the bar with you. I was going to Dave Korn's house, who was a trumpet player, and Grandpa fixing his I believe it was his garburator, and Dave taking me to the Hotel Vancouver for a corporate event, and I think I got $20, and but it was not about getting. There was no money. It was just, you know, my grandpa taking me auditions, and of course, man. It's exhilarating, though, to live on potential. Potential's a really beautiful feeling, you know.
You know, I read that things were so bad for you, Michael, at one point, you were considering becoming a journalist.
So terrible.
Oh my
Could you
goodness.
imagine how low you have to go
I can't.
to want to be a journalist?
Oh.
For me, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know what
That
you
is-
mean.
You know what, though? Truthfully, I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, okay? I have a ton of reverence for journalism and for people that have this impossible hunger to tell the truth and actually truly are interested in human beings and wanting to tell that story. And so I like people, and I love this business. And I was like, man, you know what? If I'm not the one they're doing the story on, then you know what? Maybe I can be the one who tells the story. So yeah, I thought of going back because I just couldn't, just wasn't going to happen for me. It wasn't. I was 25, living in Toronto, working at, doing Healy's. Jeff Healy had a place. But by the time I would finish on a Monday or Thursday night and I'd get paid, I wanted the best players, so I had no money left. And I wanted to have a couple beers, so I'd have even less money left. And it finally got to a point where it was just over. I had met with every agent, every manager, any record company that would, I never got in the door, but at least, you know, I'd get a meeting at a bar. And I was like, shit, did they talk to each other? Because they would all say the same thing. They would go, you know, you're a talented kid, but there's nothing here, man. There's no way for this to ever work. And so when I finally got that meeting and David finally took me in to talk to Tom Whalley, the president of Warner in the US, I realized that there was, maybe if you want to talk about one moment, and it's not a moment that made me, but it's a moment where I landed on a shore and literally I would live or die. I was going to break through to the beach at Normandy or I wasn't. And if not, it would have been over. And the president was sitting like this. I sat down and he said, hi, why should we sign you? We have Sinatra on reprise. And I said, with all due respect, Mr. Whalley, he's gone, he's dead. I said, but if you give me a chance, I will work my ass off and I will try to take over. I will try to keep this music alive and, you know, stand on the shoulders of my heroes and make you proud, you know. And 3 or 4 days later, they called and said, you know, you were with Warner, and that changed my life forever.
And I'm feeling good. Thank you, Canada. I'm feeling good.
There she is.
Your every line, your every word, your everything.
So however you measure it, #1 albums, singles that have been played around the world, the concert dates you have, you are a huge success now. So I was trying to think like
I don't think you mentioned Sexiest Man Alive with People Magazine, but that's
Were you the
okay.
sexiest man alive
Not
on People Magazine?
the sexiest man alive, but
Top
I was
20?
in the magazine.
Ah.
It may have been an ad I paid for. I don't know.
Yes, you're right.
But
Next time I'll lead with
I just
that.
think it's important not to go gloss over that.
But what's it like to have Paul McCartney call you up?
Sir Paul.
Like, how is that? Like,
Oh my God, are you
mind-boggling?
kidding me? Well, it's cool now because you know what? It went like this. Hey, Sir Paul, it's Michael Bublé. Hey, man, I know that you were talking about me doing one of your tunes, and it's a great song. But I think that for me to really do this in a way that it's deserving, I think it would be amazing if you produced. And then he said, oh, you know what? Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to. And then this is the truth. And then he said, hello? Hello? And I said, hi. And he said, oh, I thought I lost you. I said, no, I just, I said, no. I said, sorry. I said, no, I just might have pooped my pants, I said. And the truth is, I was in my car, pulled over in Los Angeles, and in that time, that he had said yes, I had done this. Literally, like that. And then when he came in, I was so cool. Hey, Sir Paul, how are you? But I mean, I still have moments like that every day. This will never, I am so Burnaby. You can take the boy out of Burnaby, but don't ever think you can take the Burnaby out of the boy. Dude, I did that when I met you today.
Of course you did.
Yes.
Of course you did.
Ian's here, I can't believe it.
Yes, I sense that for sure. Speaking of Paul McCartney, the Beatles obviously had this new single with the help of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Does that scare you? Not their project, but AI and music.
I think it's the Wild West. I think we're gonna have to figure it out. My wife said to me, Mike, I love this song that you have. And she showed me this TikTok where I don't even know how many millions of people have seen it. And I was like, that's not me. This is the truth. And she was like, yes, it is. And it was for like Five Finger Freddy or something like that. I don't know what it is, but dude, it wasn't me. They made this song and it was good. Wow. Like really good. Like I had sat and thought, wish I had done this. But
that doesn't scare you?
Well, I don't know enough about it to be scared. Mm-hmm. You know, I think if we can get around the legality of this new technology and make sure that artists and creators are rewarded and compensated for their work or their intellectual property, then I'm okay with that. I just think that we have to get started. I think as artists, we have to join together and start to take a stand against things we feel strongly about, and that's going to be hard. But it's interviews like this too, where I know I have an opportunity to look out there and say, Taylor Swift, this is your job. Lead us, Taylor. I am part of your army. I am a Swiftie. And Michael Bublé is telling you right now, you call Sharon, and Sharon calls Drake or something, I will be there with you guys. But we need to start doing something, because this is crazy.
There's a hockey rink there through that, which I think is so cool.
Stupid. Oh, cool. Yeah.
So Vancouver kid.
Yeah.
You're a part owner of the Vancouver Giants, a Western Hockey League major junior team. You know what I find interesting though? I've never heard your name associated with an ownership group in the NHL. You know, there were groups bidding for the Ottawa Senators, and I think The Rock and Ryan Reynolds and Snoop Dogg were. How come you're not part of that NHL ownership world?
Oh man, you know what? There have been great opportunities, truthfully. But man, you know what? I don't want to be I don't want to own a team in the NHL. I don't. My heart is with one team, and I will love the Vancouver Canucks till the day I die. And I would never want to. Listen, God help me. Hypothetically, if I ever got into something, it would never be to be some entrepreneurial businessman. I'm a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds. I like Ryan as a person. I have a lot of respect for him as a professional. But that wouldn't be the reason for me. If I ever got into something, it would be because that's where my passion lied.
Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, he did that fantastic video for Sick Kids Hospital.
Yeah.
Please donate to Sick Kids this holiday season, as every kid deserves the chance to just be a kid. What's your name?
You look so stupid in that sweater.
And the cool thing in the video is, first of all, you basically had a cameo, so you accepted a small part, I guess, in that video.
Yeah.
And also, the shtick is that a kid is really disappointed because she wanted to see Anne Murray.
Well, what's even funnier is I'm friends with Anne Murray, and so that wasn't written in the script. They had written something else, and I kept saying, "What about Anne Murray? What about Anne Murray?"
I wanted Anne Murray!
So rewarding.
So when we recorded it, and I ended up seeing it, the first person that I sent it to, before it, for the rough, was Anne Murray, and I was like, "Look, dude, we're missing you. We're
That's
loving it."
fantastic.
She's a great lady.
She is, yeah.
Great lady.
How often are you on the road?
It depends on who you ask.
Not enough?
Yeah, my manager would say, not enough. You need to go and do 11 months, and who cares about your kids? You don't need to see your kids. You know, you can see them after. I am, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I am literally the most financially irresponsible touring act probably on the planet.
Because you don't do it enough.
It's not enough. I just won't leave my kids. If they can't come with me, then I'm doing 3 weeks on and 2 weeks off, and 3 weeks on and 2 weeks off. And when it comes to the bottom line and what you end up making, for some people it probably wouldn't feel like enough. But for me, I understand that if I'm not happy in my real life and my home life, if I don't think I'm a good father, or if I can't make out with my wife enough, then I'm going to be terrible out there. I'll be miserable. I can't fake it. And I need them. I need them. They sustain me, and I happen to fall in love with my hero. And there's this gorgeous woman who loves me. There's this woman who loves me, who keeps me grounded, who makes me laugh. And by the way, more because it's laughing at myself. You know, and then, you know, this friendship that is amazing. She's just my everything.
You've talked about how it's important for you to balance being on the road, but also making sure you spend lots of time at home.
Yeah.
And there's a video of your son Noah
Yeah.
playing piano, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
how beautiful that moment was.
Every time my hand reaches for yours, I feel the hesitation. I'm sure that you're not sure. Every time you lick my kiss in mine. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine, man. Like, you know, those kids are like my heart living outside of my body, and so to see them falling in love with music the same way I have has been nothing short of just inspiring, and it's amazing for me. You know what people might not know too? This is true. There's a song called Higher that I had come out. We won the Grammy for it last year, and it was born from him saying to me, "Poppy, I wrote a song," and me being a good Poppy and saying, "Well, okay, go ahead and sing a song," and he sang, "When you go low and I go high, boom, dun 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 dun." And he had this like thing, and I went, dude. As a matter of fact, it was so good that I kept going to YouTube and saying, "Where did you hear this before?" And he kept saying, "No, it was in my brain." And my little boy Eli was singing along to it, and months later, I would sit in the studio with Ryan Tedder, one of the great songwriters in America, and we would be struggling a little bit. And I said to him, "Dude, it's gonna be crazy, but my son wrote this thing." About 40 minutes later, he, Greg Wells, and I had our single. Wow. And so it's unreal. It's unreal. Like, it's, you know, and it's weird too, because he looks like me, then he does sometimes, you know, dumb stuff like me, and but he's a beautiful soul. And my little boy Eli and my daughter Vita and my little girl Cielo are these beautiful, funny, huge personalities, and they are the center of my and my wife's universe, you know. And really, man, they give me such stability in knowing that I love what I do. I love who I do it for. I'm like a chef, man. I love to cook, but I love who I'm cooking for. And because of them, I'm able to keep things straight. I'm able to protect myself. I'm able to understand the difference between Michael Bublé and Michael Bublé. And no matter how low things can get in this business or how high, I think they keep me even. And it's a real blessing for me.
Last question. For a kid out there watching,
Yeah.
who is 14 or 15 years old and weirdly loves music from a completely different era, and is unique, but maybe a little weird, and not sure of themselves, what do you say to him or her?
Oh, own it. Be so weird. It's so beautiful to be so weird. Own it. Know that you're special and unique, and go and download and steal and borrow and find yourself through all your heroes, and then gently stand on their shoulders and continue their legacy. It doesn't matter if you're playing for one person or 1 million people. It doesn't. Just know that the relationship that you have with that music will never disappoint you. Your partner might break up with you. You might get fired from work. You might fail the math test, but you will never, ever find disloyalty in that deep, romantic relationship you have with music and the songs. It'll stay with you your whole life, your whole life.